Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Furman Athletics. I am Dan Scott. It is great to have you with us, and we are wrapping up back-to-back weeks of Furman men's basketball talk. Last week it was senior Ben Vanderwall, and right here's the guy who captains the ship, beginning his 9th season as the Paladins head coach. Bob Richey, how you doing?
I guess back-to-back, that means we're about to start playing.
You think?
Games are close. Yeah, we're.
I mean, not like you have anything else to do, right?
We're at the halfway point of a 6-week preparation period before our first game versus High Point in Rock Hill, Field of 68 national event. Going to be on a neutral at Rock Hill versus High Point, and getting ready for that. So you're getting into week 4, which now you start to have a little bit of sight of some outside competition, which excites our guys a little bit more. First 3 weeks are all, good on good in terms of all against Furman. And then we'll have our annual scrimmage versus UNC Asheville up there this weekend. And then we've got the arena opener in week 5 versus Alabama in the exhibition. And then week 6, we'll finish it off with the opener versus High Point. So, we got we get to go play somebody else this weekend, which we're excited about that. And, going up there and having a quality scrimmage.
We usually talk about that kind of thing in terms of football after, a fall camp, finally getting to hit somebody in another jersey. But the same thing holds true in basketball. You're together so long, going back to the summer and the workouts you can do there, and now this. It'll be good to see somebody in a different color jersey, even if it is just a scrimmage or an exhibition.
I mean, yeah, you don't know right now. I mean, we're putting up some great practice offensive numbers. We're putting up some just okay practice defensive numbers. We're young in some key spots right now. We got a good mix of old and young, but some of our youth is talented, and so having to get those guys merged in quickly on the defensive end is always a little bit more of a challenge. But, we'll find out. Like, do we have a really good offense that's stressing out a decent defense, or is it just a bad defense, so it's making offense easy? And you don't know that until you go play somebody else.
That's one of the things that Ben Vanderwall last week kind of focused in on is the thing that got the team really rolling last year was when in his words, we decided to sit down and play defense. And that was one of the things he was focused on with this upcoming team.
Well, I mean, it's for all of our teams, right? Like, it's always been, we want to be complete. And to be complete, you've got to be good on both sides of the ball. Both sides of the ball have to complement one another. Historically, for us, our best offenses always come off of our defense because it puts us in transition. It allows us to push the pace and the tempo of the game. And when you're taking the ball to the net every time, just because you don't have enough grit to finish possessions and to impose will on the defensive end of the floor, then now you get in these shootouts. And in the shootout, hey, look, it could go either way. And you don't always have the ability, just like we saw in the championship. We score 85, but we give up 92. And you get in a shootout. And so what happens in shootouts, it can go either way. And so we're up 4 with 2 to go, but then we miss a shot and they make a shot. Now it's a ball game, and then they beat us in the end on it. We've got to get back to being able to impose some will on the defensive end of the floor. And while we have great complementary offense and get the game where we want the game at, and that's to be complete. So it's a journey. I mean, seasons are lifetimes. They're long. And, like I said, we're going to have at least 3 freshmen in our top 10. I would have told you 3 a week and a half ago, and now it might be 4. It just depends. Like, we got some big-time competition going on at the back of the roster to figure out who's getting some of those last spots. And, the freshmen are talented, but they don't know. They don't know how hard these games are. They don't know the intensity and the physicality and just what it takes to be really good at that level. It's going to be a little bit of work in progress.
Well, you used the word complete a couple of times there, and I think the thing that has all Furman fans excited, none more than you and your staff and Pierre and his staff, is the fact that Timmons is complete. And just talk about what that has meant. Last year, every game you played, even your home games, you had to get on a bus. And now you're back in this completely redone, beautiful arena. What has that meant for you?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's just been awesome to be back in our facility and to be able to get out of team film and go straight down to the court. But then it's been really neat for them to be able to experience just how first class and how excellent it is. I mean, they did an unbelievable job with it, from Jason to Ken Betch, the architect, to Aaron Mays and really everybody that was involved in the whole process of it. This has been years and years and years. I mean, I remember Dan being an assistant here back in 2013, and them having huddle up meetings when Nico was the head coach, and they'd bring Ken in back then, and Gary Clark was AD, and it would kind of be like a brainstorming session of what would this look like, and man, this needs to be done, and then you go through a period of time where you just not necessarily worry, but you're just wondering, like, can we get it done? Are we going to be able to accumulate the resources and inspire a group to really see how this is needed and what needs to be done here? And I'm just thankful that from President Davis to the board, to our administration, that everybody in all the donors, right, from Ravenel Curry to the Timmons family, and then all the people, I don't want to leave out any names, but all the people that saw the vision to be able to fund this from privately, from donors, and to be able to complete it and to be able to have it as nice as it is right now. Man, it's an unbelievable moment for us, and it's mid-major size, but it's high-major amenities, and that's what's going to be really neat. Is the experience has the potential to be as good as any experience that you'll experience in college basketball, and we've got to get the students in there. They got to feel like they got to take ownership in it. They've now got a real student section in that end zone,
right?
And but man, we've got the courtside lounge, we've got the courtside seats, we've got the boxes, we've got the Herring Suite is now going to be more of a add-on hospitality area for people that select that, and you got the whole 360 concourse. I mean, it's just cool, and it doesn't matter who I bring in here. I mean, I've brought in former high major head coaches. I've brought in assistants, like anybody. I've brought in successful business people. Anybody that we've brought in here that's looked at it, the first comment has been on the excellence of it, and it's just been neat to see that piece of it, get accomplished and to get done, and we're very grateful for that.
Well, what is, I think, important for people here to understand is, while that part of it is complete, again, to use your word, it's really just the beginning. As the landscape of college athletics is changing, this is one piece to your puzzle if we're going to remain successful here, right?
Well, it's just, everything matters, right? And I think what we have to realize, and I have to remind myself this all the time, is where this was, a decade ago compared to where it is now. I mean, I was an assistant here. I think one year we won 7 games, another year we won 8 games, and
you and I came the same time.
Yeah,
I remember that.
We were giving out free food to get people to come to games, and they still didn't come, and couldn't get anybody in the building, right? And so as you're growing, and as you start to change the course of the program, because of from 1980 to call it 2015, where there's this 35-year stretch of the easiest, safest word to use is just apathy. There's just areas where you're just naturally behind, right? Where other people that now we've elevated to appear as peers, where they were just ahead in that time because they weren't losing at that time, right? So Charleston was winning at that time. Belmont was winning at that time. You can go down the line. Even people on our schedule, your Northern Iowas were winning at that time. And so they've been able to get their facility corrected quicker, right? They've been able to invest correctly into the program elements and the human capital and the operations and the facilities. And so we have had to play a little bit of catch up in those areas, but credit again our president, our board, our AD, to all have the top-down alignment to say, okay, look, we have to get this right to be able to compete at the level and have the excellence that we want to have as a program. And then, at the same time, it's I don't know if you call it just, I wouldn't necessarily say it's bad luck. It's just, hey, the game's changed in the middle of all of it, right? And you don't have to go too far. And fortunately, we're not in this realm and we're not in this space. And I don't think anybody here wants to be in this space that we're, paying coaches $49 million to not coach football anymore, that were just in the college football playoff last year and really a play away from being in the national championship game. That's how much the stakes have risen at the top of all this, right? The desperations and the emotional decisions that are being made because everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to create a winner. And the rev share and NIL, it's a little bit like, I remember when I first got in the industry, we were, when I was in college, I'm going to date myself here, but '06 I graduated college.
Mm-hmm.
And that was I think Facebook had just kind of started.
Right.
I think that, you didn't really have social media. Facebook was still like on the internet. Most people had like a flip phone, but like you could text. And then the BlackBerry hit. BlackBerry hits, and it's like, man, this is cool. And everybody had the scrolling ball, and now you can do emails on this, and you can do your calendar on this. And then all of a sudden, like the guy, this guy Steve Jobs has this idea that, hey, we're going to go touchscreen, and we're going to figure out a way to basically put a computer in your pocket. And then BlackBerry says, no, like nobody's going to want that. Like everybody wants the rollerball, right? And so they don't change. And now, I mean, if you pulled out a BlackBerry in today's time, I mean, people would look at you like what is wrong with you, right? And it became a situation where it doesn't matter if you like the BlackBerry or not. In order to function and operate, like you're going to have to adjust, and you're going to have to go to a touch screen, and you're going to have to realize that it's going to have the internet on it, and it's going to be able to do all these things, and you're going to be able to watch videos on it. Remember how hard it used to be to like watch a video? You'd be like, will we ever get like video on a phone?
Right.
And then it would kind of pinwheel around.
I tell people, Bob, that we're living in the Jetsons age right now. The only thing missing is a flying car.
and it's coming. I mean,
Yes.
it's coming, but like there's things in life where, I think we're quick to decide, like, do we like it or not? But when things adapt and things evolve, I think we're living in that right now with AI. Mm-hmm. Like I think right now in AI, you're just kind of like, hey, is this good or not? Well, I don't quite know if it's good or not, but I know this, when I've utilized it in unique areas, it's made my life a little bit easier, And is it going to remove some jobs? I'm sure it will, but is it also potentially probably going to create some jobs? I mean, anybody that's held NVIDIA stock here lately has probably liked it. Well, it's because it's creating a lot of product and jobs and, so I say all that to say this. I'm not overly personally, I don't agree with everything that's been pushed out from the NCAA level.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have enough rules and regulations on this for everybody, even the student athletes, for everybody to be on the same page here. But I do agree with the notion that there's so much money in this at the highest level, from TV contracts to the NCAA basketball contract. There's so much more money in this now than ever before that it only makes sense that the players share in that. And I think levels change what that looks like, mm-hmm. right, according to the revenue. And now all of a sudden, we're having to figure that out, and our supporters have been great, and we've even added some people on staff to help with that, to figure out, like, again, what the challenge used to be is the first challenge was, can we get a respectable program, right? And can we get this program to respectability? Can we get this program to the NCAA tournament?
Right.
Can we get a player drafted from this program? Can we get the facility up to meet what the desired expectation of the program is? So thankfully, we've gotten all that done, and we're not chasing. I mean, this would be a dire situation if you were having to still chase all that and try to figure this out. Mm-hmm. But now, because of what the administration's done, we're in a position where now it's just this isolated challenge of how do we continue to, invest at the program at a level that meets the excellence of what we want to desire to win championships and compete for championships, but to also figure out in a competitive way that's relative to our competition, how do we stay competitive in that space? And that's where a lot of our focus is right now. Like we're gonna play this high point mm-hmm. game, and the fans are gonna be shocked when I say this, but I'm just gonna make sure everybody kind of understands this. And listen, any game we schedule, we want to be challenged, and we're gonna respect all of our opponents, but we're gonna go out there and we're gonna do everything we can to try to win the game. Mm-hmm. But when we go play high point, I mean, this is pretty public. You can find this on Twitter. I mean, I don't know if they have 2.5 million in their team or 3 million. And I've heard up to 4 million. I don't know what the number is, but it's north of 2.5 million, mm-hmm. right? And listen, price doesn't mean productivity, right? Like payroll does not mean productivity, but it's where, our former assistant Jeremy Groves at Charleston, I think they got 2.5 million in their roster this year. Belmont, like Davidson, I know, they've got, and then you see like, and this is where this thing's going, like, hey, well, it's just the people that really want. Stanford, pretty good academics, right?
Right.
50 million donation last week to football, basically, right? Was that? Did I read that right? You would probably know more about that than I did, but I think I saw something. Maybe it wasn't specifically football. Maybe it was just their whole athletic department. Mm-hmm. But a $50 million gift to Stanford, which when everybody says Stanford, I mean everybody thinks top 5 academically in the country. And so those are the things that we listen. We absolutely love what we can do here, right? There's no limits to what we can do here, and that's the neat part about it. Like, we've got an unbelievable city, we got a great campus, we've got an unbelievable degree here. We've got a program that's got a great culture that has sustained winning over time, and wants to continue to do it in a holistic manner where we can just build winners, right? Where we can just grow people, and that we don't have to be in this space where every year we're trying to put a brand new team together. That we can find people that identify as Furman people that want to be high potential individuals, but then we have to have the resources to be able to retain them. And if we can retain them, then we can continue to have a sustainable winner that everybody's proud of. They can go to NCAA tournaments and they can have a whole lot of fun. But if we can't retain them, then it becomes a little problematic. And so that's a little bit where our focus is at right now. Right now, we're locked in on the season. We spent a lot of time on this summer and this fall.
Right.
I have to transition to where I completely get locked in.
Oh,
on
you
the
mean you
season.
have to coach now?
Yeah, we got to start coaching. But it's look, man. It's like I've told my staff, if there wasn't a challenge, this would be no fun.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a little bit how God wired me and created me. I need a good challenge, and I want in a challenge at a place that you're convicted in a place where you want to see it through,
right?
And where you can continue to see a vision and then just continue to work towards that vision.
And one of the biggest challenges, I would imagine, before we move on to something else in our final few minutes here, but one of the biggest challenges is getting people to understand and really grasp how much college athletics has changed and continues to change with all of this new stuff. And they still have that old school mentality.
And here's the thing with that, like, old school, new school, like it, don't like it, okay? It still comes down to just the paradigm of it all, right?
Well,
like
it's the reality,
like
whether you like it or not.
Like, how do we view it? And
right.
so what I've said is, like, okay, our commitment has to be, because I do think this, General Ballard, Furman graduate, obviously had a huge, successful career in the military. He spent the day with us yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And he spent a couple hours with our staff and then an hour with our team. I mean, just unbelievable content. We do it basically every year almost. And he said, listen, the character of war changes. We see that right now in the world right now, right? The character of war changes. The nature of war never changes. And I think we're going to see that play out in sports. Like, the character and the conditions are changing. I don't think the nature of competition and winning is going to change at all. You're still going to, we're going to look back on this in 20 years when you do all the case studies. You're still going to need a culture. You're still going to need identity. You're still going to need systems. You're still going to need people and development and retention, like all the ingredients that it takes to be a winner. Those will not change. How you get them and how you keep them and all that stuff changes. But in terms of how we have to go win, and for me, that's my conviction. Everybody's like, well, man, y'all signed 5 freshmen. We absolutely signed 5 freshmen. Because if you look at what we've done, how we've turned this around, and I don't know how they analytically figure all this out, but somehow or another, one of these sites analytically looked at all the players' increases over time in the last decade. We're top 10 in the country in development. Okay, we got 22 all-conference players in an 8-year period. Purdue's on that. I mean, like a bunch of high majors, and then boom, you see Furman in there. So we've developed our players at a high level. Well, also, they went back and looked at a decade, and they figured out retention. Well, we're top 10 in the country in retention. Okay, so we've developed at a top 10 level. We've retained at a top 10 level. So if we exit the 2 things that we've done best in the name of everything's changing, so we have to change, then we're going to give up our competitive advantage. Mm-hmm. So what we have to do is, hey, look, we got some freshmen here that 5 years ago we couldn't have gotten because everybody would have been recruiting freshmen. But now all of a sudden, like, everybody's in the portal. So what we decided is, hey, our best strengths are our retention, our development. It fits Furman. Furman's a liberal arts 4-year school. They want to see graduates all the way through. So it matches what they want. But now what we have to make sure of is that we have the resources adequate to retain them to keep the model going.
Right.
And so it's not that I don't want anybody to hear me that, hey, I want to get in these bid wars and I want to turn this thing into, Portal City. And like, no, I actually want to stay out of it. I want to build winners here, and I want to continue to have a unique culture here, and I want to get people that differentiate with this place and say, hey, this is what I want to be, but then that we're not trying to do it, at a discount.
Right. Bob Richey joining us on this week's edition of Inside Furman Athletics. Let's turn our attention to wrapping up here, but before we do, How do you feel about what you've seen from your team so far?
I really like our group. I really like our group a lot. We have a very high ceiling. We've got a lower floor just because we're going to have some young guys out there, and so the floor is a little bit lower than what we've had before. But I tell you this, I'm not so sure it's not one of our highest ceilings we've ever had.
Really?
And so we've got this wide gap of like, what we could be at our worst versus what we could be at our best. And right now I think it's natural with so many young players. I feel like I'm being really repetitive in explaining what we have to do to go win games. And I feel like the buy-in's a little bit slower than what it normally is when you have a lot of guys returning and you got old guys kind of leading it. But if you think about our group, we got. I mean, just calling a spade. I think we've got guys that will definitely be all league this year. We don't have a returning all league player,
right?
And so we lost our 2 all league guys in Nick and PJ. We've got a lot of guys that came back. Everybody that played last year came back, which is great. We've got some guys ready to make big jumps, and I think that are going to make bigger jumps than people expect. But they've got to be given the grace and the time to do that, right? Like, and then we got some freshmen that are going to play, and if we play tonight, one of them would start. I mean, that'll be the first time in my tenure. In 9 years of doing this, to roll out there night one with a freshman starter is different. And so, but I love how they work. I love their connection. I love just our team personality. I think right now we're having to focus on how hard it takes to win games and how connected we have to be to win games and continuing to stick to our formula. But man, I can't wait to go out there with them. It's a group. It's a group that, man, they show up. I think we had a team meeting this morning. We're on fall break right now, and then we've got another Further the Man this afternoon with Mike Shabero, and then we get to the practice floor after that. But they you can tell they care for each other, and but it's going to be a learning curve. And but I think, man, once we get to league play and once we learn our team and figure out the rotations and the combinations and the positions and all that, which we're getting some clarity on a lot of that. But we got there is a lot of different lineups, different sizes. We could be super big. We could be fast and spread it out, like we could kind of be right there in the middle. And we got some guys that have a lot of versatility that can play 2 to 3 positions. So it's really going to come down to us making sure that we fit the roles, people buy into their roles, and then we go out there and we win games in the manner which Furman has to win games, which that is, we got to be great teammates. We got to be willing to fly around on D, and we got to be willing to move and value the ball.
Yeah, it's funny you're talking about the freshmen and the buy-in, and they don't know how hard it is. I always, when you're saying that, I was just kind of laughing to myself because of all the years that I got the privilege of working with Oliver Purnell when he was over at Clemson. He always talked about the most difficult thing with freshmen was getting them out of what he called the high school trot. Where they come down on offense, they hit the jump shot, and they trot back on defense. So that was not his style of play, and he would have to drill it out of them. So it's kind of the same thing you're talking about here.
Yeah, it just takes time,
and
you got to make sure you hold them to the highest of standards. And as we always say, we rather them love us at 30 than like us at 20, and we got to make sure that they understand the standard of which we have to play at. And I'll be honest with you, Dan, it's never been harder. It's never been harder to convince a group that, hey, we got to go play for the front of the jersey, and understanding that we got to go create a team that is greater than the sum of its parts. And in order to do that, it's the connection, it's the commitment to the values, it's getting people bought into the identity of which we have to play and what's always won here. And that continues to be the trick.
Well, I'll say this, Bob, if you are, as you said, God wired you to be someone who needs a challenge, you're certainly in the right profession at the right time.
Well, Dan, I ask myself all the time, like, sometimes in those moments, you're just like, God, this is exactly what you have for me, right? I'm just checking here, and then it's like, hey, look, you've moved one time with your family, and you got your head job at 33 in your wife's hometown. What a dream, what an opportunity. And listen, as we close here, Dan, I want to make sure, there's no. Man, I'm grateful for what we've been able to build here. I've been committed to Furman since 2011. I love it here. Like the passion I have for this place, the vision that I've always had, that we'll continue to have. I think, the good book says, without vision, people perish, right? And I'm a believer in that. Like, I always want to have a vision. I always want to, hey, what's next? Where are we taking this to? I always want it to be like, what's the limiting belief that's holding us back? All I hear about is how much Greenville's growing, that this is going to be the next Charlotte, that this is going to continue to grow, that everybody wants to be in Greenville. Well, we're right in the middle of this,
Right.
Like, we've got an unbelievable opportunity in front of us where, with the degree that we have, the values that the university stands for, that matches with my personal beliefs and the type of student athletes I want to coach in this unbelievable city. And now we got a first class facility. Like, it's not like a complaint. It's an opportunity. It's a challenge to an opportunity. And I think that's the most joy I get out of this, is just when we exit with Leamington beliefs and we say, man, let's go for the mountain. And I think there's a Chinese proverb that I follow on occasionally. What do they see when you get to the mountains? More mountains.
Right.
Right? And that's kind of life. It's
Right.
just like, if you aim for the mountain and you get there, there's more mountains.
Right.
And it's kind of the nature of the job we're in. But I would rather be another place, and I'd rather coach another team. And I'm excited about what we've got in store for us, and it's going to be a fun year.
You ready to unveil Timmons in action on October 26th?
We are. I mean, it's 13 days away, or no, I'm losing count. I mean, it's 12 days away, I believe. It's not this Sunday coming up, and the next Sunday.
Right.
So, we didn't make it easier on ourselves. Nate's a pretty good coach, and there'll be a top 15 program, and he's done an unbelievable job. They were in the Final Four last year, but think about that for a second. Like, Alabama's coming to Greenville. Alabama's coming to Timmons Arena. And it's going to be really, really fun. It's already sold out. I mean, I'm having people text me left and right. I literally had to tell people I don't even have access to any more tickets. Like, there's nothing I can do for you.
And if this guy can't get you tickets, folks, don't even talk about me. So I can't help you.
But like, just to see it, right?
Yeah.
Just to see the vision come all the way to completion, and the people that we're going to have here. I mean, some of the people that have asked to come to this game, and not to go into the details of that, but I'm talking about former successful CEOs of public companies. We just got a whole bunch of people that are going to get on this campus that day, and I think that's everybody that's been in there so far has been like, wow, this is amazing. But I think there's another layer to this, like people that haven't been in there that come in there to watch the game and watch the experience of it. I can't wait. But we got a great opportunity. I challenge our fan base. Like, Alabama's exciting, that's fun. But look at this entrance to the season. We're going to go Alabama exhibition, which everybody's excited about. We're going to play the opener in Rock Hill. Now, you have to, just like we talked about High Point, like they've really advanced their program quickly in terms of resources. They won the Big South last year. They went to the NCAA tournament. We're going to play in Rock Hill. Now that doesn't sound, maybe super exciting to the fan base, but I will tell you this: it's a super cool venue. It's if you've got kids that play AAU volleyball or basketball, you've been in it before, but it's got like an arena bowl in there that seats about 2,000 people, maybe a little bit less. There's a Cambria hotel right on the property, and then there's some other hotels around it. But this is going to be a push for who can create home court advantage, right? Because they're going to be about an hour and 45 away, and we're going to be about an hour and 45 away.
Right.
And this is going to be a nationally played event on Field of 68 with Jeff Goodman. And we need to show up. We need to get people there on that Monday and, just make the day of it as our opener. And then we got Troy coming in here on that Friday night. Troy was in the NCAA tournament last year. And they've got an unbelievable coach. They've got a great identity, tough team. And so we're going to go Alabama, NCAA tournament team, and that's going to be the opening of the season. And so, we're gonna find out really quickly what we're about, and we're going to find out really quickly what we have to get better at. And I told the team, the other day, like, and I love all the teams we've coached here, but sometimes the older you get in this, you need to build up a little immunity, right? Like. You think about our two best starts was not our best team.
Right.
Our best team went through some real pain early. And we went down to Charleston and fell on our face and lost the Penn State game, and then, sleptwalked through the Old Dominion game, and then came here and gave up 80-something points to High Point at home. And that team had to, like, build up some immunity. And then they leveraged their losing, right? They found purpose in their pain, and they figured out ways to get better from their losing. And instead of like last year, we went 12-1, which, hey, I'll never be apologetic of a 12-1 start. But when we finally did lose on that Greensboro game, man, I felt like it took us a little while to kind of get our bearings right, to kind of get back on track. And so, you got to you got to understand, like, hey, we want to be in a competitive schedule. We want to play hard teams. We're going to win some and have some fun nights, and then, hey, there's inevitably we're going to lose one. And, we got to use failure as a feature, and we got to continue to build this team and get to the mountaintop and peak at the appropriate time.
Well, good thing about it is in a couple of weeks you can quit talking about it and start doing it, right?
Hey, we're there. We're there. No, the public's not going to have it. We're going to have some pretty good tape on Saturday night. So, I'm looking forward to that.
All right, Bob. Thank you. As always, looking forward to every opportunity we get to catch up with Bob Richey as this season is getting underway. Next week, our boss will be in this chair. Jason Donnelly will do his Ask the AD section with us. For Bob Richey and for all of us here at Furman, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you and so long, everybody.